The digital hum of the longevity forum in late 2025 was usually a comforting sound, a constant buzz of innovation and debate. Tonight, though, it felt different. A palpable tension hung in the virtual air, even as avatars moved through the simulated conference hall. Dr. Aris Thorne, a name synonymous with NMN advocacy, stood at the main podium, his virtual image larger than life. He was mid-sentence, talking about the undeniable supremacy of NAD plus precursors, when someone from the audience dared to mention quercetin. Thorne paused, a slow, theatrical smile spreading across his face. He let out a condescending chuckle, a sound that grated even through the speakers. "Quercetin," he scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. "Oh, bless your heart, that's yesterday's news, isn't it? A mere antioxidant. We've moved beyond those simplistic notions. It's like bringing a stone axe to a laser fight." His audience, largely NMN loyalists, murmured in agreement, some even echoing his laughter. I watched from the back, a silent observer in the digital crowd. A small, knowing smirk tugged at the corner of my mouth. Thorne's words, intended to shut down dissent, only highlighted his own blind spot. He was so deeply entrenched in the NMN narrative that he couldn't see the seismic shifts happening just beneath the surface of the research world. It was more than just a blind spot. It was a willful ignorance, a resistance to anything that might challenge the comfortable dominance of his chosen molecule. His dismissal felt almost poetic in its irony, a quiet whisper of impending scientific shifts about to break through the noise. He thought he was closing the door on an old idea, but he was actually just sealing himself inside a room that was about to be bypassed entirely. The forum moved on, Thorne basking in the glow of his perceived triumph, but I knew better. I had been watching. I had been reading. I had been experimenting. The data I was about to share, the insights I had gathered, were not just compelling, they were definitive. They were about to irrevocably alter the NMN-centric narrative, not by disproving NMN entirely, but by revealing a far more potent and targeted player in the longevity game. This wasn't about replacing one hero with another. It was about understanding a much deeper, more complex story of cellular health that many, like Thorne, had completely overlooked. The scientific community, particularly the biohacking segment, was about to get a wake-up call, and it was going to come from a compound they had long relegated to the sidelines. Before we delve deeper into how quercetin went from yesterday's news to the forefront of longevity research, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tell us where you're watching from in the comments below. Your input helps us understand the global reach of this critical information. My own journey into understanding cellular health didn't begin with a sudden epiphany, but rather a slow, steady accumulation of information, much like how a river carves a canyon, grain by grain. It started years ago, long before the NMN hype reached its peak, back when the term biohacking was still whispered in niche online forums, not shouted from mainstream podcasts. I was drawn in by the promise of optimizing the human body, not just for performance, but for prolonged vitality. This fascination led me down countless rabbit holes, from early mornings spent in a makeshift home lab, meticulously logging data from my own experiments, to late nights poring over obscure scientific papers that rarely made it past academic paywalls. It was a stark contrast to the glossy, hyped-up world of celebrity biohackers, who often seemed more interested in marketing than in methodical science. The scientific community, especially the more traditional factions, initially viewed these nutraceuticals with a healthy dose of skepticism, and rightly so. Many compounds, after all, promised much and delivered little. NMN, with its direct link to NAD+ pathways, quickly gained traction because its mechanism seemed so clear, so direct. It was easy to understand, easy to explain, and it fit neatly into existing biochemical models. This clarity, however, inadvertently created a tunnel vision that often overshadowed other compounds with less straightforward but potentially more profound effects. I remember attending a major longevity conference a few years back. The main stage was dominated by discussions of NAD plus boosters, sirtuins and telomere maintenance. Quercetin, if mentioned at all, was usually relegated to a footnote in a slide about general antioxidants, or perhaps a brief mention during a Q&A as a nice-to-have compound, not a game-changer. I recall one panel discussion where a researcher bravely brought up some early findings on quercetin's more complex cellular interactions. The moderator, a known NMN advocate, quickly steered the conversation back to NAD+, dismissing the quercetin data as interesting but likely anecdotal and not directly relevant to the core pathways we're discussing today. It wasn't outright hostility, but a subtle, almost unconscious dismissal, born from a deep-seated belief that they already had the answer. Online, the pattern was similar. In various biohacking groups and forums, any mention of quercetin beyond its basic antioxidant properties was often met with skepticism, or worse, indifference. People would say things like, "Yeah, it's good for allergies, right?" Or, "Isn't that just a general flavonoid? We're looking for targeted interventions here." The narrative was firmly established. NMN was the future, and everything else was a distant second. But beneath this surface of NMN dominance, subtle shifts were beginning to appear in the research landscape. Quietly, away from the spotlight of major conferences, a small, dedicated group of researchers was uncovering something unexpected. Early studies, initially published in less glamorous journals, began to hint that quercetin was doing far more than just mopping up free radicals. Its mechanisms were proving to be surprisingly nuanced, affecting cellular pathways in ways that went beyond simple antioxidant activity. It wasn't just protecting cells, it was actively reprogramming them, influencing gene expression, and even showing signs of senolytic activity, selectively clearing out old, damaged cells that contribute to aging. This gradual realization among a few observant scientists was like a slow erosion, slowly chipping away at the exclusive focus on NMN. It wasn't a dramatic overthrow, but a quiet, persistent whisper of something profound, a growing understanding that the story of cellular health was far more intricate than previously imagined, and that quercetin, far from being yesterday's news, it was just beginning to reveal its true potential. The scientific community, or at least a perceptive segment of it, was starting to see that this unassuming flavonoid was, in fact, a remarkably sophisticated cellular orchestrator. Then, in early 2026, the dam broke. A groundbreaking study published in a highly respected peer-reviewed journal landed like a bombshell. This wasn't just another incremental finding. It was a definitive, comprehensive analysis that laid bare quercetin's true power. The study meticulously demonstrated quercetin's direct and potent senolytic activity, its ability to selectively seek out and destroy senescent or zombie cells that accumulate with age and contribute to inflammation and tissue dysfunction. But it didn't stop there. The research also highlighted quercetin's synergistic effects, showing how it interacted with other cellular pathways, optimizing mitochondrial function, enhancing autophagy, and even modulating immune responses in ways that NMN's direct mechanisms simply couldn't replicate. This wasn't just an antioxidant, it was a targeted cellular rejuvenator, operating on multiple fronts with a precision and efficacy that far exceeded what anyone had initially imagined. It fundamentally redefined quercetin's role from a general health supplement to a key player in the complex symphony of cellular aging. The NMN-focused biohacker community, which had for so long dismissed quercetin, was now forced to confront this undeniable evidence. The initial reactions varied from disbelief to grudging acceptance. Major longevity podcasts, once solely dedicated to NAD+ precursors, suddenly found themselves hosting panels on quercetin's senolytic power. Forums that had previously relegated quercetin to the miscellaneous section were now buzzing with discussions about dosage, bioavailability, and stack combinations. Quercetin, once an afterthought, gained unprecedented traction, its name now spoken with a new reverence. I remember seeing the biohacker from that contentious forum discussion in late 2025, the one who had so confidently laughed off quercetin as yesterday's news. He appeared on a popular YouTube channel, looking a bit sheepish, if I'm being honest. He didn't explicitly apologize or admit he was wrong, but his language had softened considerably. He spoke about the unexpected depth of the new quercetin research, acknowledging its unique mechanisms and how it complemented existing longevity strategies. It was a subtle retraction, a careful pivot designed to save face, but the message was clear. The scientific landscape had shifted, and he was finally catching up. This wasn't a complete overthrow, though. NMN still held value, especially for direct NAD+ replenishment, and its proponents continued to advocate for its benefits. However, quercetin had unequivocally carved out its own, arguably more significant, niche. It wasn't about replacing NMN, but about expanding our understanding. The community embraced a broader, more nuanced understanding of cellular health, moving beyond single-molecule obsessions. The focus shifted from championing one compound over another to understanding how different molecules work together, creating a more holistic approach to longevity. The future of healthy aging was never about a single miracle, but a symphony of cellular intelligence.